Good afternoon. It's Monday, March 2nd, and this is the Hammer Daily presented by FanDuel, normally hosted by Jason Cooper. Today, we have a lot to talk about on today's show, including World Baseball Classic bets with Johnny Giunta, plus a ton of NFL stuff, including some futures we're looking at with Austin Mack. I won't be alone today. I have my producer, Mike Bennett. Mike, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I suspect that Jason paid you to sabotage the start of our show today and make me look bad in place of it.
Honestly, no, I will say, man, I had high hopes for today. The promo video was filled with some juice. I mean, you're ready to trash the USC Trojans and all those things. So I will say I was not paid to butcher this show. So apologies to everyone waiting patiently, but we are up and running, and I think everyone's here to see you, G-Stack George, and what you got to talk about for the NFL futures today. So,
I don't believe you, Mike. We'll be doing a live detector test live at the end of the show, and I will determine. I will get Mike to present his best case, and I will see if I agree with him or I believe him. Before we start, though, I saw a fascinating video of JJ Redick was trying to talk to Luka Doncic as he's walking off the court. Clearly, Luka was annoyed, gets to his side of the bench. Then he gets up from his chair to give JJ Redick another earful. And Jared Vanderbilt, being a good teammate, made sure he stood up at the right moment, got between the two of them, and didn't let Luka potentially turn this into a worse situation. I say this because this is a lot of people don't know this. This is why Jason's away. There was an incident Wednesday at the Hammer regarding the coffee machine between Rob Pizzola and Jason Cooper. We didn't have a Jared Vanderbilt to get in the way of it. Jason said the wrong thing. Rob suspended Jason, and that's why Jason's been off for a few days. Mike, am I allowed to say that Jason's suspension, or are we going with the he's off bit?
You can say he's been suspended until further notice. I feel like that's pretty fun. And hey, we can see if he's really watching the show wherever he is, if he's still a contributing partner to us, to our guys here, even though he's not on the camera. But yeah, we can go with this bit, George.
Let's, you know what? Let's take advantage of Jason not being here. There will be no USC hype machine. In fact, I want to rip on a USC player. Before I do all that, I want to bring in my friend from The Athletic, also regular on the Forward Progress YouTube channel, and here on the Hammer Daily, Austin Mock. Welcome into the show, my friend.
G-Stack, thanks for having me, man. It's been a little bit since football's unfortunately ended.
We used to bring you on to do a watch along, and then it became George and Austin just yak about football and forget that there's a game on. So here and then we get comments in the chat about like get back to the game, talk about the game. There's no game now. Nobody can yell at us, Austin, when you and I can talk football like we like to do.
Yeah, we can just chat it up, No, we know ball, or at least we think we do, and that's all that matters. We just have our back and forth. It's good. We don't care what anybody else has to say. So we're talking what we want to talk about.
NFL Combine. Were you in Indy this week, my friend?
I was. This is the I think 4th year that I've been there. It's a fun event. It's kind of like the NFL like convention, like Comic-Con for the NFL. Like everybody, in the media, everybody from each team is there. It's a good time. I wish more people did the drills, but it's still fun. It's probably one of my favorite weeks of the year that don't have to do with actual football being played.
How much of it is work versus networking? Obviously, it's not empty moments of partying, although I think there may be some nights of that. How much is it like just getting to know the people in the league, making contacts for when you may need them in the future?
Yeah, I'd say that's like 95% of the reason, or at least 95% of what I get out of it. I do a little bit of work stuff, but it's mostly just get up there and meet. Like, I'm not great with names, unfortunately. The amount of people that you meet, and you were talking about like the partying and going out, like it's you always have something, you always run into someone. I saw Danny Jeremiah just randomly walking down the street, saw Mike Vrabel. I think Mike Vrabel was the coach who was most like forward facing in the JW. So anybody that works in the league, around the league, in media, whatever it is basically there, except for the Rams. They never go. But yeah, it's networking. You'll constantly meet people if you go and put yourself out there. So it's probably the best networking opportunity of the year. Maybe in any sport, because the combine is the biggest, the NFL is the biggest, but it's a great opportunity if you're trying to break into the space.
You know, they're not the only ones, the Rams, that don't go. The Jags apparently are not only they not going, they're not doing any of the top 30 visits, Austin, and their methodologies, they don't want to be influenced by an interview. And I was talking to Rob about this. Rob being very data centric. It's like, I kind of like that approach. You watch the film, you have the data, you don't need the interview. And I'm the opposite. I'm like, you know what? If I get to talk to a guy and get a feel for him, I get it. Sometimes you'll get wooed and the guy's very well PR coached up. But sometimes in the case of like a Malachi Lemon or the rumors around it, you kind of get a feel for a guy maybe you don't want in the building.
Yeah, the James Gladstone, the Jaguars GM, he came from the Rams, so it's not surprising to see the Jaguars are going to continue with that process. I get it. They've developed, I think Gladstone or either the guy under him developed a kind of a draft system where through their scouting process and everything, they kind of grade everybody analytically. So they would be following Rob's, data-centric view. I kind of lean that way as well. I do think it is a little bit easy to get in there, but to get wooed, like you were saying, but I do think there is like, it's a fine line to go, but I do think you need to like kind of ground yourself where like I forget what the interviews are like. Are they 18 minutes or something? Like something really small. So like you really have to either like do some research on the questions that you're presenting to the prospect, or at least not overreact. It's not that different than what we do during the year with the NFL week to week, right? So you have to kind of put checks and balances for yourself, I think, with this the interview process. And same thing with the athletic testing, all of that. I think you need to just really have your process down to a T. You can't just be, bouncing all around, changing your opinion because of one thing someone says or whatnot.
All right, before we get into it, let's start off with the Malachi Lemon stuff. Because first of all, his presser was very weird. And listen, I'm not going to say, a guy speaks differently, so it's weird. It was almost an air of like disengagement. And then you hear rumors of like bad interview. And I go, okay, how much of that stuff is true? Then I saw a video where Todd Downing, the wide receiver coach for the Patriots, is explaining a drill to the receivers. And Lemon's in his own world behind the coach. So the coach is facing all the participants, and he's not paying attention. And I'm like, oh, there's something off about this guy. When you see stuff like that, how much of that stuff is just like, oh, we're making a narrative, and how much of that stuff is more than where there's smoke, there's fire?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit to it. Like the media interviews, I'm there. Some of the questions can get a little like not geared towards the prospects, like the future of the prospect. Sometimes it's about something that happened in college or a teammate that had in college, whatever. So I would take like a little bit of that. I think actually the bigger thing is the on-field drills not paying attention. I think that's more of I think that's where a team would be like, okay, that's a big a bigger flag. I don't know if it's like totally turning you off, but I think you can maybe probably see some predictiveness with that behavior if you were able to scrounge up some data points and different guys who weren't paying attention on national television and in the middle of how many NFL personnel eyes are on you. So I think that's probably the bigger flag. The interview things is tough because I don't know how the questions go. Is it just he wasn't like super personable? Like that's a different thing. Like some people would say that you bomb it because you're not super personable. It's kind of like the interview process with going to get a job. And then there's just people that like don't answer questions or something like that. Like which end of the the spectrum is it? But I think the on-field stuff that you brought up is probably the bigger flag in most GMs and definitely head coaches' minds. I don't think they'll love that.
Yeah, that was the detail that stood out to me. Let's move away from the interviews. Let's actually talk about some of the drills and some of the testing. So Ohio State First of all, I'm looking at their roster now, and I don't follow college football regularly until it's time to like evaluate who these players are and where they might go. And I just look in the top 10 of the draft and I see like 4 potential Ohio State players, 3 on the defense. And I'm like, how did this team not win the national championship? Arvell Reese is getting a lot of the buzz as being like the off-ball linebacker that's going to turn into an edge. Sonny Styles, though, comes out, blows up the draft. He's like, first of all, he's a mountain of a man with speed, vertical, broad jump, everything off the charts. He's not playing a premium position, off-ball linebacker. He also doesn't cover at an elite level like when Luke Kuechly was coming out. You and I discussed this in the group chat. Why not just turn this guy into an edge and let him rush? What maybe would have saved Isaiah Simmons' career, who was also the off-the-charts freak athlete off-ball linebacker.
Yeah, I think one of the issues with Sonny Styles is that he came in as a safety, so like out of high school. So he's now, transitioned to linebacker, which he was a ginormous safety, right? So that kind of feels seamless. I think it's kind of hard to ask him to go towards the edge rusher, the pass rusher skill set, just because obviously coming up through high school and playing at Ohio State, he must not have shown that, right? I think we've seen like Micah Parsons. I go back, Penn State's had 2 of these guys. Micah Parsons a few years ago, he didn't play his 3rd year. Maybe I think they would have eventually got him after the pass, like rushing the passer more in his 3rd year, but that was the COVID year. And then we saw it with Abdul Carter, where he was an off-ball linebacker his first 2 years, and then they moved him to edge rusher. So I just wonder, kind of taking it as hey, I think there might be something there. And then you look at his agility numbers. His agility numbers didn't pop off the page. He was explosive. He wasn't agile. So I wonder if just maybe the skill set's just not there, on top of the fact that he's never really played on the line of scrimmage. So I think that factors into it as well. Whereas Arvell Reese is getting that talk, right? He is getting, hey, this guy has the bend or whatever it is, the skill set that's better for a move towards the edge. I'm not against it. Baron Browning, another Ohio State linebacker from a couple years back that switched to an edge rusher once he got into the league. So it could still be possible. But I just, part of me just wondered, since he came up as a safety, is that just too much movement, too big of a jump for him? And maybe the agility numbers aren't there for him to get around the edge. And it's just better to let him use that freak athleticism and size as a, sideline to sideline linebacker.
But not take him in the top 10, right? You and I are don't take non-premium positions in the top 10.
Yeah, it would be, I was talking to a couple of people that cover the draft about this, and my question was can he be this big nickel that we're talking about? And you mentioned the coverage issues, and he has the speed, so I think people would just think oh, it's going to be able to happen for him. But it's a tough thing to do, to play coverage as a linebacker in the NFL. We don't see a ton of those. That's why it's not a premium position, because these guys aren't able to. You have to be huge. You have to be able to take on offensive linemen defending the run game, and it's hard to have that skill set to be able to do both there. So if he can be that big, people are going with Nicky Mamori from the Seahawks this past year, he was much faster. He was much more agile. Different type. I think he was truly a safety. I think it's easier to go from big safety to play linebacker rather than linebacker to go back to safety. I know Styles has that prior safety background, but I just wonder if you think he can be that, I think I can get on board with putting the draft capital into him, because I do think that big nickel type position is more premium than we want, even though it doesn't have there's no position when you do the drop downs of big nickel. But if he's just an off-ball linebacker, and this is a deep linebacker class, so you're going to have guys on day 2, day 3 that are going to be pretty good. So that's definitely going to be a storyline to watch through the draft, and then as we see what Sonny Styles turns into for his rookie year.
Part of it, and it's not discussed enough, is what are you paying? You get paid according to your slot, and then it's what do the top players at the position get paid? And the reason you're hunting the premium position is because the gap in what they're getting paid as a rookie to, if let's assume the best case scenario, they're a top 5 player at their position, it's the surplus value of paying a receiver, his $8 million wide receiver slot money, but he's playing at a $30 million level, versus paying a linebacker $8 million, but the top guys are getting paid 16, 17 anyways. the surplus value of the contract itself is not worth it. Now, you and I want to put a pin in some of the combine talk because we will be getting into kind of the function of like who is rising, who is falling. And that stuff's always, up for debate. Do people actually rise and fall? I think one of the more interesting discussions will be Spencer Fano and Monroe Freeling, who are like, one was very good tape, but he has short arms. And after Will Campbell, that will be definitely a discourse this year. And then Monroe Freeling, who maybe didn't play, his tape doesn't look as good, was just like a super athletic freak. And I want to talk about that on tomorrow's Forward Progress video, you and I, Austin. But right now I want to do something called Takes by G. Jason calls himself Takes by J, but he doesn't give enough takes. If you're going to call yourself a takes guy, be a takes guy. So I'm going to give you some bold takes here. And here's what I want you to do in real time. Tell me if it's a hot take, you like it, somewhat agree. If it's a cold take, you hate it or disagree. And then Captain Obvious. Some people say bold takes, and it's like, yeah, like a lot of people have this take. There's nothing bold to it. And I want your like initial reaction, and then maybe I will give you my reasoning, and then maybe you can adjust your score if I've sold you in one direction or the other. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Take one. The Philadelphia Eagles are closer to being the third best team in their division than they are to the top contenders in the NFC.
I'm gonna go bad take.
That's a cold take.
Cold take. Sorry, cold take. I disagree. You give me your reasoning though. Glad to.
You know what? It's less about like I'm not on like the Eagles panic and pushed it because I trust their front office. I think Dallas has some money and some draft capital to get better defensively. I think Washington was like a conflation of a lot of bad things, but again, they have money to get better. And I think the Eagles, if they take one step back, because I think there's some O-line uncertainty. I think also there's turmoil in the locker room. I don't know that I put the Eagles up there with the Rams and Seahawks. And I think they could finish third with like 8 or 9 wins and not it just being a little bit worse than they were.
Yeah, so I guess it's not like I'm not super high on Washington. So that's because like Dallas can figure it out. I think, like Caleb Downs is a guy who maybe slot back to them, could help them in their back seven. So I think Dallas definitely has that. Like I'm okay with putting them like, usurping the Eagles if things go bad. The thing about the Eagles is, the AJ Brown thing, I'm interested to see what Howie does with that. We've seen him make some splash, during the draft. That's how he got AJ Brown. I'm interested to see how that kind of goes. I know he doesn't. They're not coming from the weeds this time, so it's a little bit harder to trade when people know that it's not going great. But yeah, I think Washington's too far away. Like I don't think they have a better coaching staff. I was concerned with the Eagles OC search, so that is a little bit concerning. But yeah, I just can't get there with Washington just yet. Could they finish third? Absolutely. Washington's getting the easier schedule and everything, but I think the Eagles are still above there. Even though I do think they're not into the top echelon of the NFC, but I just don't think Washington can overtake them just yet.
Got it. You know what? This is how you know it takes good. One comment says ice cold. The other one says great take. The comments. comments to play
Thread that needle, baby. Thread that needle.
I've got 6 banger takes, I think. All right. Number 2, Austin. The New England Patriots are more likely to return to the Super Bowl in the next year or 2 than the Seattle Seahawks.
Ooh. Hey, I'll say that's a good take. I'll say it's a good take.
There we go.
I'll say it's good. You can give your reasoning, and then I'll come back.
AFC seems to be a conference where like Buffalo is running into a spending problem now. KC has the uncertainty of Mahomes. It's more so that the Rams are going to be there's going to be some market improvement in the NFC, and then frankly, it's the quarterback thing. I get it. For 1 year, perfect defense, and it worked, and it's just a perfect storm. But I don't know, Sam Darnold, 2-time Super Bowl quarterback. I don't know, man. I don't see it.
I'm with you though. I think it's a good take. You talk about the uncertainty just with the Seahawks, right? Like Clint Kubiak leaves, like how does that transition goes?
Mhm.
This is the third different, OC or maybe even longer now with Darnold, his success. This is going to be his third different OC during this like revitalization of his career. And yeah, like outside, like the division is pretty easy. Out the Bills are tough, obviously, and they're not a perfect squad at all. If Josh Allen goes down, they like that division turns into like nothing. The Dolphins are far away, the Jets are far away. So yeah, like they just have I like they have an easier path to the playoffs. Like that's
to win their division.
Like,
I mean,
right, and just the playoffs in general, because even if they finish second to the Bills, like with that division being so easy, they have a good chance at double digit wins. Whereas like the 49ers are still a pretty solid team. Like they're tough. The Cardinals, I don't know, but I don't think the Cardinals are bottom barrel. So yeah, I that's a good take. I'm good with that one.
All right, I love it. One and one here. All right, Austin, take 3. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are closer to a top 5 pick in next year's draft than they are the playoffs.
Who? Man, I'll go good take.
Yeah,
I'll go good take.
It's an 8. If the O-line has issues, the receivers are old and they need to somehow replace them. So
and they've been banged up.
Yeah,
like Godwin's been banged up, and
lack of weapons, injury history. Baker's feels like it's going to start being diminishing returns now, and he doesn't have great physical gifts,
right?
And defensively, like everyone got old all of a sudden. Jamel Dean and Levante David, I don't know where their cornerstones are on defense, and the division's going to be more competitive. We're going to assume Tyler Shuck and New Orleans will not be a bottom feeder this year, right?
Yeah, I mean they were feisty last year, even though they weren't quite getting the win. They were feisty with when Shuck wasn't even playing. So, yeah, no, I'm with you there. The Falcons, their quarterback situation is a little bit uncertain. So it's more of the reason I said it's a good take is more. I don't think they have a very high ceiling, the Bucks. So it's one of those like if the quarterback goes down, not that I think Baker's amazing, but like what are you getting if he's like the heart and soul of the team type of deal. But yeah, like they're older. There's just not a lot of pieces that excite you. I just don't see this as a team that like there's no ceiling. And that's where I'm just going. I think bottom can fall out. We've seen it happen before. The last few years, bottom just falls out quickly. You lose, 6-7 games in a row, and then all of a sudden you're battling for a top 5 pick. So yeah, I'll go good take. Not super like strong on that, but I do think they're just not a high ceiling team. I don't get excited about many of their positions.
I am with you. So I've done like mock draft simulations for every team. I'm addicted to mock draft simulators. I almost never pick the Bucks. I wouldn't want to be the Bucks GM. It's not a great roster. I don't want to go in with Baker in an old roster and Raheem Morris as my coach. All right, Austin, 3 more takes, and this is where we get a little crazy. So
okay.
two pretty good takes, 1 cold take so far from you. The Tennessee Titans are in better shape in the next 3 years than the Houston Texans.
Oh man. I'll say good take on the offensive side of the ball, bad take on the defense side of the ball. That kind of makes me go the slight 51-49 to good take. If that it's like it's not a captain obvious. Like I'm like more a little bit neutral. Like 51.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Texans made the playoffs, and right?
No,
and
I know, but like,
yeah.
No, I'm with you. It's just like there's still so much uncertainty with the Titans, and I don't think like the problem with this one is like I don't think the Texans will fall off a cliff because the defense is so good. Now, if they get injuries, of course, but the general question is like Cam Ward. I've seen enough from CJ Stroud in this offense. The Texans keep trading away offensive linemen. They don't care about fixing that issue that they have.
They're paying premium picks for old running backs who are 2 down backs. Like I hate the way they think. I hate that they have a lack of weapons. I hate their O-line, and I hate that they're going to have to pay Stroud if they're going to keep him, and that's going to limit everything else they can do.
Yeah. I don't. It's the offensive like outlook for them is pretty bleak. I don't really have much hope there. Defense, they have some studs, so they're going to be fine. D'Amico's great on that side of the ball, but yeah, like I'd rather have I'd buy stock in the Titans offense more than the Texans
and the money
offense over the next
and the money.
Yeah,
like, okay, they have money now. Listen, they can go out and like draft Jeremiah Love 4th overall, and this all goes in the toilet. So I'm still hoping. I'm projecting a little. I'm like, it's a good situation. Yeah. Don't mess this up. All right. All right. So far, I'm getting some love. Okay, 2 more. There are at least 4 teams. This one's out there. I should trade for Anthony Richardson and roll the dice with him as the starting QB.
Oh, that's a good take.
There we go.
I'm not even thinking hard. I think the Jets should do it. I think the Browns should do it.
Yeah, so I wrote there's 3 quarterbacks
Dolphins.
that Kyler Murray, Malik Davis, and Mac Jones are probably like the best free agent quarterbacks. But I wrote Miami, Jets, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Atlanta, Arizona. Why go in with something that you know is a certainty of like a low floor, a medium floor, low ceiling guy? Find out if this guy's a thing, and if he's not, you've got a really good pick next year.
Yeah, and I think it's even more so like even if like just bring him in for competition, right? And those teams probably aren't. A lot of those teams aren't contending, and you can find stuff out and like, okay, hey, maybe this guy is good, and we can like. Yes. I'll go again, like we just talked about. Baker Mayfield was like dead. And he had some success, and like he's in Cleveland a little bit, and then kind of revamped his career in Tampa. Sam Darnold, same thing. So Daniel Jones, like I think we tend to give up a little bit too much. Get him a new scenery. It's unfortunate because I don't think he was in a terrible situation with Steichen in Indy, but I would do it. He has enough. The ceiling's so high, higher than any of those 3 quarterbacks, to where I think it's definitely worth taking a flyer.
All right. One more. All right. This one, Rob's going to like this one, and Jason's going to hate it. The Dallas Cowboys are closer to the Super Bowl than the Chicago Bears.
Oh, man. I'm more in the neutral. I think they're in the same space. I don't know if that counts to the game. I need a neutral take. Like I don't have it's not a good take or a bad take, and I don't think it's obvious either.
Let me tell you my reasoning, and then you tell me. So I think Dallas has a more stable offense. As odd as it sounds, since Chicago has this like stable run game, and Caleb Williams has like this potential electric ceiling. I don't like the Chicago Bears defense. I think even though Dallas has a bad defense, I think they have more draft capital and opportunity to improve it than Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. It's just the question of like I like to counteract that is like, what happens if Caleb figures it out? And then it's like, oh, so that's why I'm kind of neutral. Like I agree with that take that the Cowboys defense is probably set up better for success, but like if Caleb does figure out the success rate problems, then like the Chicago offense is going to be absurd with that run game. So that's I'm neutral.
All right. I'll take it. 4 good takes, 1 cold take, 1 neutral take. Rob is like a self-immolating Dallas fan now. Okay,
he can't enjoy. Well, there's been nothing to enjoy, so he's just used. There's no reason to even try.
I would get myself excited about it. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and maybe George Pickens offense.
Maybe George Pickens.
All right, Austin, we'll get into some NFL futures, but before we do, I just want to tell you guys, college basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every night, and now FanDuel's giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Here's how it works. Build any college hoops parlay you like. The early tip, the rivalry game, the ranked matchup, the late night West Coast shootout, mixed spreads, totals, props, whatever fits your read of the slate. Then just apply your profit boost and instantly bump up that potential payout. Go safe, go spicy, go with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Open the FanDuel app, put together your college basketball parlay, apply profit boost, and you're good to go. Because every night in college hoops brings something wild, and a boosted parlay is the perfect way to ride that action. Head to FanDuel.com/forward progress to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Must be 21 and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.com. www.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, Austin. Let's get into a future. I don't want to do 3 because it's too we don't know free agency, we don't know the draft yet. But if someone gave you $100 free roll bet on FanDuel, and we'll get Mike to pull up the FanDuel Super Bowl futures prices, which one do you think right now is probably the best bet to make that's currently available on the board?
I'll scroll down a little bit. Like the Chargers are my darling. I was lining them up since like November. I was excited for them, but I think Mike McDaniel kind of got them a little bit too high for me. I'll go. It's painful. I'll go San Fran at 20-1. I think their defense will be much improved. Like they lost Bosa and Warner. I know they won games. They played a super easy schedule. It's just more of I'm betting on the offense. I know there's gonna be no Kittle, but I think 20-1. I know that division's tough, but they're playing a third place schedule in the NFC, so you have to remember that a little bit. So they do get the benefit there. You're talking about, like we just mentioned, the Seahawks with Sam Darnold, the changes that they have. Do they drop down a little bit? Matthew Stafford, maybe he starts contemplating retirement. I don't know. I'm just looking at teams that have like the offensive upside. The AFC is a freaking mess. Maybe that means I should have looked that way, but I think San Fran's my favorite from the quick look, as we're 6 months away from football here.
Yeah, we'll call it way too early to bet a future. You know what? Just to be in an opposite conference, I kind of like the case for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Soft division. I mean, I don't think Tennessee's ready. I think Indy's got the Daniel Jones problem. Plus, they have like issues with like DeForest Buckner might be done and Charvarius Ward, and I love Houston's defense. I really don't think they have a clue what they want to do with this offense.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good look.
I think that's if we're looking in the middling zone right now. But that being said, I want to see Jacksonville fix the secondary, and I suspect that might be turning Travis Hunter into a full-time corner. Austin, one more game before we leave, okay?
Okay.
It's called Would You Rather. So you're a GM, and here's the caveat. I'm going to give you 2 players at a similar position, and you tell me who you'd rather have for the next 5 years. Independent of situation, so we're not looking at like, oh, because they're in this situation. Independent of team or contract. Okay, so we're not biased by that. Well, this guy for $2 million. So almost like in a vacuum, talent-based, and who would you rather have? Obviously, we can factor in age, health, and trajectory. That's our duty.
Yeah.
All right, I got one for QB, one for running back, one for tight end, one for edge, and one for cornerback. Let's start at QB. Let's do the 2024 class. Drake May or Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams?
Despite my constant banging of the drum that the Patriots didn't play anybody all year, and then when they finally did, they couldn't score, I'm gonna go Drake May. I guess like if I want to get a little hot takey, I think I might take Caleb Williams over Jaden Daniels. So I think that's closer than people want it to be, but mainly because I think Daniels has the concerns with injuries and whatnot. But when you look at like Drake May has already figured out like the consistency, the success rate was good, the efficiency was good. I think like Jaden Daniels has a little bit of like boomer bust to him. Caleb Williams still has boomer bust to him. And you just look at like how they went. Drake May's got the like athleticism and he uses his legs. I know Caleb does and Jaden Daniels, but he doesn't rely on it. It's more of like, hey, I can use this as a dagger. And then he can make every throw. So I think he's just at this moment he's at the top for me.
All right, running back. Now they're both unburdened by their backup running back stealing goal line touches. Assuming Tyler Algier doesn't re-sign in Atlanta. Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs?
Man, this is like a 51-49. I will go Bijan. I'm only giving the edge because I think he's younger, not by much, but or no, they're same draft class. Sorry. More so he's just been in a worse offensive system and he's still put up really good numbers. And Gibbs has been in a pretty good offensive ecosystem. So I think maybe, in the right system, if they're both in like really good systems, maybe Bijan has a little bit more untapped potential. But like this is 51-49. They're both awesome.
All right. This one I think people have I like this one. Would you rather listen to Jason talk USC football or have lunch with Kanish? Oh, that's tough.
Grant, I come on the Hammer pretty regularly, so I guess I choose Jason talking about USC football. So like I consciously make that decision.
You think Kanish would yell if we were like 2 feet in front of him at a lunch table though? Or do you think
Listen, the last time I was with him, I was on a watch along for the semifinals, college football playoff, and he fell asleep and just left. So maybe he wouldn't yell. I don't know. You never know what you're getting with Kanish.
I didn't factor in that Kanish would probably get up to go to the bathroom and then leave you with the bill. I forgot.
Yes, that's what would happen.
I forgot to factor that in. All right. Trey McBride or Brock Bowers?
Again, pretty similar. I'd go Bowers. I think he played hurt for most of this year. Like he was awesome 2 years ago as a rookie. I think kind of more untapped potential. He had that like non-contact, weird, non-serious knee injury to start, and they kind of kept playing him. He just didn't seem right. So maybe that's a little unfair to Trey McBride, but I'm gonna go Brock Bowers. I just think what he does, he just can be more versatile in unlocking offense more than McBride, but it's 51-49 again.
All right. I'm gonna make one curveball at the end. Okay. Will Anderson or Micah Parsons?
Ooh. I am someone who thinks that if Myles Garrett didn't have the sack record, that Will Anderson should have won the MVP or Defensive Player of the Year. Sorry. I'll go him just because Parsons is coming off the injury, and that scares me because of how like explosive he is and how twitchy and everything. And I know he's still super young. He's like 25, 26. So I'm not super worried about that, but just coming off a major knee injury and the type of season that Will Anderson had, I will go with Will Anderson Jr.
Yeah. And also just Will Anderson Jr. just because he's the best.
He had somehow had an underrated season.
Yeah.
Because Garrett went off on the sacks, like people just didn't pay attention to Will Anderson Jr.
My favorite chart every week was when you posted the splash numbers, and it's like Will Anderson's the best every week.
He just was like he had like 20 more splash plays than everybody else, and was just whatever, just par for the course.
Last one, forget cornerback, coach Ben Johnson or Kyle Shanahan, 5 years.
Oh man, this is tough because I do like Shanny. This is coming down to like the game management and part. Shanahan's had enough. We've seen LaFleur and we've seen McVay kind of get better with fourth downs and clock management, all those things. I don't think Shanny's taken those steps yet. So I'm gonna go with Ben Johnson. That pains me. They're both really good. If you have them as your coach, you're not gonna be in bad shape. But that's what gets the fourth downs and game management and all of that. Shanny, he's never adjusted. That's been his one fault, I feel like. So I'll go Ben Johnson.
I'm with you. They're the two best play designers, but one has an aggression factor that's necessary.
Yeah.
Austin Moss.
He's maximizing the win probability. That's all we got to do.
Thank you for joining me, Austin Moss.
Thanks for having me, GSAC.
From The Athletic, also regular on Forward Progress. We'll have a video out tomorrow. We'll talk risers and fallers after the combine. You have a great one, my friend.
Yep, you as well. Enjoy.
And listen, if you're not yet in our Discord, we're nearing 1,800 members. We had a great post talking about how he made $20,000 in one of the contests, and he said wouldn't have done it without the Discord or the Forward Progress team. And that's the best kind of testimony you can get. And no, we didn't pay him to say that, so we appreciate him. Join us at discord.gg/hammer and see what you've been missing. All right, time to talk some baseball. I got one half of the Gate 14 podcast, Blue Jays superfan, social media S disturber, Mr. Johnny Giunta, How are you, my friend?
How's it going? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, man.
I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
We're in absolute shambles to start this. It says my MacBook speaker's on. This is why I'm not good with audio here. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. All right. Well, why doesn't Mike pull you off the screen and Mike will coach you? Mike will coach you through it. And listen, if you're enjoying this stuff, I want you to do me a favor. First of all, drop a comment in the chat, smash the like button, and tweet at Jason. Let him know. Thank you for your suspension. We've appreciated all your hard work, but we've been doing a great job without you. You're not missed. Let Jason know that he's not missed. Of course, I'm kidding. Jason will actually be back on Wednesday. This is the third show he's not. We've kind of been building to a crescendo. Alex led off, opening, it's like you send out your first guy, bring us an even floor. Then we went with Jacob on Friday, and then we'll end with the big Pizzola, Rob Pizzola hosting tomorrow, the Hammer Daily. Johnny, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I'm awful with audio. I don't do any of this stuff for the Gate 14 podcast, but appreciate you having me on, man. It's the best time of the year. Baseball's back.
Absolutely. I remember the last World Baseball Classic, and it was fantastic. Obviously, the ending moment of Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. Why do you think this tournament doesn't you think this tournament gets enough buzz for how fun it is?
I think the time span of when it takes place. I mean, you have March Madness. I believe that's in a couple weeks as well. NHL, NBA, all that type of stuff taking place. So I think it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. I think it would be better if it was during the All-Star break in Major League Baseball, because all that's on is baseball, and you have a little bit of soccer as well. But I truly just think it's the time span and when it takes place, to be honest with you, because it's an awesome tournament.
I agree with you. Maybe if they did what they did with the Four Nations of the NHL, just carve out 2 weeks in the middle of the season. Home Run Derby still obviously very good, but I think the World Baseball Classic, I think it would actually elevate baseball, especially in that dead period in the summer where nothing else is happening. Let's go division by division, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Tell me who you think like the favorite to win the division or come out of it is. Pool A, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Canada, Panama, Colombia. Who is the favorite to come out of it? Who do you like?
Well, it's Puerto Rico, obviously. I mean, that's a baseball country. But, man, I truly think, and again, this might be biased, but Canada's kind of getting the short end of the stick here. If you look on FanDuel Canada, they're plus 105 to make it out of the group stage, which is crazy because they have tons of major leaguers. You got Mike Soroka going game 1, Jameson Taillon going game 2. And the tough thing about Puerto Rico is, like, half of their team, legitimately half of their team is not projected to play. They didn't get insurance. And is that true, Charles? I'm pretty sure that's incorrect. Canada finished second, minus 7,000. I'll pull it up. I'm pretty sure.
I think he's making a joke. That feels like an insane number.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially in that group. I got got by the chat. That happens a lot in Gate 14 as well. But yeah, Canada's plus 105 to advance. Tough thing about Puerto Rico is you don't have Francisco Lindor playing. Like, legit, all of their good players did not get insured to play in this tournament. So I love Canada here in this spot at plus 105. And like I mentioned, you got tons of big leaguers around the field playing for Canada. So I just think it's a great price for a team that, in my opinion, you can make an argument they could even win the division at this point, with Puerto Rico having half their team not playing.
All right, let's move into Group B. This one, I saw a great tweet. Somebody said this looks like a soccer World Cup division. USA, Mexico, Italy, Great Britain, and Brazil. Is this just USA and Mexico are clearly the two that are going through?
I'll actually be at some of these games. I'm going to Houston on Thursday to watch this because Ernie Clement will be playing for USA, so I'm going to watch him. These games are going to be, thank God they added a mercy rule, because that game on Friday, USA versus Brazil, is going to be just a murder. It's Paul Skeens facing the Brazilian baseball team, who has, I believe, 0 major leaguers, maybe 1, or like he plays in the minors. USA is clear cut. Obviously it's them and then the field to win the tournament. I love Mexico here. The only tough thing about Mexico is a couple of their good players, actually a lot of them, did not get insured to play as well. So the beauty of this tournament's kind of taken away from us based off this insurance factor. But yeah, USA is clear cut the favorite of the tournament and the favorite in this group. And the second place is obviously going to be Mexico as well. And the odds dictate that as well.
Okay, Johnny, this lies where MLB is at a fault. I think they don't do a good enough job of promoting their stars. I thought Mike Trout was like the most under-promoted star for a long time. They need to tell their teams to get on board and insure everybody, because this is how you elevate your players and your league to a world stage, by letting them compete at a world level. Like, this not insured thing, it just sounds insane to me.
It would be example, like, again, it's hard to compare it to the NHL, but it would be like a guy like Macklin Celebrini not being allowed to play in the Olympics, or a guy like, even like the Hughes brothers, because I know Jack was battling injuries. It'd be like Jack Hughes not being allowed to play in the Olympics. They're really shooting themselves in the foot here, and I do know the contracts are a little bit bigger in baseball than they are in hockey, so it does make sense where they're coming from with this. But yeah, it is bananas that you don't have the best on best truly in this tournament. And speaking about the USA, why I like the field, and I don't know what the odds are on FanDuel for the field. I know some other sites offer the field, but Tariq Skubal's only allowed to pitch one game in the entire tournament. So they have to figure it out with like two other starters going for two other games, like a Nolan McLean, a Ryan Yarbrough, some guys like that. So I really think there is pretty good value on taking the field here. And I have some teams that I really like once we go deeper into the other groups for this World Baseball Classic.
All right, let's rip through them. Pool C: Japan, Australia, Korea, Czechia, and China. What do you make of that division?
My co-host is actually going to Japan to watch this one. This let's just call a spade a spade.
Oh, wow.
This division's awful. I mean, you have just Japan and then four countries that have like legitimately. I know Travis Bazzana will be playing for Australia. I really like Korea is good as well. I guess you got Ryu still pitching in that, but this division is going to be just similar to the U.S. one, but worse, to be honest with you, because you can't make a case for any other team in this division to make it past like the quarterfinals of the World Baseball Classic. Like, you can make one for Mexico, but all these other teams compared to Japan are just kind of just a little brother, to be honest with you. I really don't see any value in any of those teams making it past the quarterfinal round in this group.
Ohtani is like a reached Babe Ruth status when he's like hitting batting practice and filling up a stadium for people to watch him.
I truly, and luckily the Blue Jays have a guy that will be playing for Japan in Kazuma Okamoto. It is bananas how popular these guys are in Japan. And Ohtani is obviously the GOAT in terms of that, but this Japanese team is crazy. The only tough thing about it is, compared to last World Baseball Classic, Ohtani's not going to be pitching.
Okay.
So that's kind of awful. You're going to be getting some, I mean, you have Yamamoto going and then other guys like that, but you're not going to be getting that Ohtani matchup against Team USA, which is something that will be electric if we do get that.
This Okamoto guy for the Jays, he hit a bomb, and what I had heard was the power wasn't going to be there in the MLB, and now people are reconsidering because apparently he's getting a barrel down on the bats. Is that going to be one of the hidden signings for the Jays as a big impact? Obviously, we're all pointing to Dylan Cease, and but is that a bigger signing, or is he just like a Yoshida type solid player, not a game changer?
I mean, this is a guy who played for the Yankees of Tokyo and the Yankees of Japan and the Giants. They never post players. They never ever post players. This guy's an absolute legend. We've talked to players around the facility and players that have been with him in spring training, and they talk about it, and the power's real, man. He's going to be playing every single day. Obviously, the adjustment to big league pitching is going to be tough, but Okamoto is special. We're going to see it on display. We saw it on display in the World Baseball Classic. People forget, in that final game, he hit a home run off of Kyle Freeland, who's a big leaguer. I think he's going to be awesome, and we're going to be seeing him every single game for the Blue Jays and every single game for Japan. So it's going to be really cool to kind of see a Toronto Blue Jays player play for literally one of the best teams in the World Baseball Classic. So I'm extremely excited to watch Okamoto play.
All right, last one, Pool D. This one looks good because I look at the Dominican Republic hitting lineup and I just, man, it's very sexy. Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Netherlands, Nicaragua, and Israel. I mean, this is the Venezuela and Dominican Republic division. Who do you think's the better team of the two?
Man, the only tough thing about the Dominican Republic is they can never put it together. They've always had super teams. They had a super team last World Baseball Classic. I think they got knocked out in the quarters. This team has really good pitching. That's why I like them personally at plus 460 to win the World Baseball Classic. That lineup is ridiculous. That bench is ridiculous. And they also have starting pitching showing up as well. And Christopher Sanchez, who's going to get the ball twice in this tournament. And that guy is a freak. Probably the second best left-handed pitcher in the entire sport of baseball behind, obviously, Tariq Skubal. I love this Dominican team, man. You look at that lineup. You got Austin Wells catching, Vladdy at first, Ketel Marte at second. You got not Gunnar Henderson. You got Manny Machado. This team is ridiculous.
It's stacked.
And that outfield is even crazy, too. You got Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, and Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Those are the three WAR leaders at their positions, aside from right field, because you got Aaron Judge, who's a freak. Ahead of Fernando Tatis Jr. But man, if this team can finally put it together, I don't see a world where this team loses in the World Baseball Classic, to be honest with you.
All right, and that was gonna be my last question to you. You think Dominican Republic's the best bet to win this tournament right now at FanDuel?
I think value-wise, yeah, man. You're giving me plus 460 with a all-star lineup like that. The only tough thing is, which is what it comes down to a lot, is pitching, and that's why the USA is favored. You got Skeen, Skubal going, Logan Webb going. But with Skubal only being able to go one game, you kind of have to piece together a rotation type of thing for games that actually matter. I really don't know, and the bullpen is a little bit iffy as well. I love this Dominican. If you could score runs, man, it doesn't really matter who's pitching. And from 1 to 9, it's legitimately the best lineup. USA and them go par for par, but if you go player by player, the Dominican kind of has a little bit of an advantage compared to the United States of America, and hopefully they perform well so we can see the Dominican versus USA in a winner-take-all game, because that would be electric, especially playing in Miami where the population there is very heavily Latino, which would be an electric game to watch.
You know, it's because this tournament is played in March, right? If this is a thing in baseball where, like, when the weather heats up, so do all the Dominican players. Vladdy's been notorious for that, slow out the start a gate, and then he becomes like the hottest hitter in baseball for 3 months. Okay, World Baseball Classic aside, and you know what? Another time, Jason will have you on, and we'll go through some like division by division stuff. I just want to do a quick one. AL East. I don't want to talk about them from like who's the best team. You are a Blue Jays fan. I want you to rank in order how we should hate the other teams in our division.
I think it goes, it's clear cut Yankees 1. Everyone knows, who follows me on Twitter knows that. It goes Yankees for me, then Orioles, because their fans are getting a little cocky online with honestly a very question mark pitching staff. Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox, Rays. Those are probably the hate. I mean, the Rays are just, they didn't do any moves. I think they spent like $12 million this offseason. But yeah, Yankees is clear-cut 1 because we kind of stole the AL East from them last year. And if we give it back to them, it'll be insufferable online. So I think the clear-cut 1 is Yankees. I hope they're awful this year. That'd be great for the brand. But yeah, I think the AL East is the hell division, to be honest with you. I think you can make a case for every single team, maybe aside from the Rays, winning the division, and that's what the odds kind of show. But I think, yeah, it goes Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox, Rays in terms of like teams we should hate in this division.
And which is the worst fan base to deal with?
Yankees for sure. I think Orioles also are going to Orioles fans getting called. The last time the Orioles won a playoff game, Barack Obama was the president of the United States, and their fans are getting awfully cocky. It's kind of pathetic, to be honest with you. So I think, yeah, Orioles are up there, and the Yankees for me. Like the Red Sox, you kind of have to respect. They've won a championship in the last 10 years. So and they've actually beat the Dodgers. So yeah, I think it's Yankees clear-cut 1.
So the Orioles are like the Arsenal of baseball, right? Where you haven't done shit all in a long time.
And the thing is, they won 100 games 2 years ago and got swept in the playoffs. Like, they have no ground to stand on. Like, this is a team that's been, I think they were like the favorite or second favorite last year to win the AL East, and they finished in like second last or last place, just a nothing burger of a team. So I'm excited to see how this AL East plays out, because it's going to be a slugfest from March to all the way to November, October. So I'm looking forward to it. Johnny
Giunta, thanks so much for your time, my friend.
Thank you.
We'll have you back on the Hammer Daily with Jason Cooper. He'll be back on Wednesday. Rob Pizzola's in for him tomorrow. I think that will have some very high viewership. That's it for us. Circle Back starts at 1 o'clock. 1 minute. We just made it. We'll redirect you there. Thanks to Mike Bennett for producing. Thanks to our sponsor, FanDuel. Thanks to our audience. Please drop a comment. Smash the like button on the way out. And you have a great rest of your day.